The best African track and field podcasts to listen to. Introduction. Track and field is an exciting sport that has been a significant part of African culture for many years. It is a sport that requires a great deal of physical strength, endurance, and speed. Over the years, many people have become fans of the sport, and as a result, there are several podcasts that cover everything from track and field news to analysis and interviews. In this article, we will be taking a look at the best African track and field podcasts that you should be listening to. The top African track and field podcasts. Athletics Africa. Athletics Africa is a podcast that is focused on African track and field. The podcast covers everything from the latest news to analysis of events and interviews with athletes, coaches, and experts. The show is hosted by Yomi Omogbeja, a renowned sports journalist who has covered track and field events for many years. One of the highlights of Athletics Africa is the interviews with top African athletes. The podcast has featured interviews with stars such as Blessing Okagbare, Caster Semenya, and Akani Simbine. The interviews are always insightful, and you get to hear directly from the athletes about their training, preparation, and what motivates them to compete at the highest level. Backstreet Boys. Backstreet Boys is a podcast that covers all aspects of track and field. The show is hosted by 3 British sports journalists, but they often have guests from around the world. The podcast is known for its in-depth analysis and the host's ability to explain complex topics in a way that is easy to understand. One of the things that make Backstreet Boys stand out is the host's humor and banter. They have a great chemistry that makes the show entertaining, even when discussing serious topics. The podcast has featured interviews with several African athletes and coaches, including Stephen Keshi, the former coach of the Nigerian national football team. The Relay. The Relay is a podcast that focuses on relay events in track and field. The show is hosted by a group of experienced sports journalists and analysts who provide expert analysis and insights into relay events. The podcast covers everything from the latest news to interviews with athletes and coaches. One of the things that make the Relay unique is the in-depth analysis of relay events. The podcast breaks down the different stages of relay events, providing